I love waiting for the, tones in the background.
It really does, right? It feels like we're like, are we connecting? Working that, we're like, Mom, get off the phone.
Phone.
I'm trying.
You can use the computer.
Yeah.
Somebody's mom on the
BBS. Are you using it to argue on message boards? No.
People are wrong.
On the internet. And this is an age where you could fix that.
Right?
Right, yeah. You could actually maybe even know where they live and go to their house. Hey, you are wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Hey, it looks like we're connected. I'm seeing eyeballs aplenty, and by eyeballs I mean people watching us. Do share with us, friends, as we connect, that you can hear. Hello, good Monday to you.
So yeah, I've just had this post-it note on my desk for like a year now that just says "Gay Punk Mermaids."
Oh.
So I don't know what it was originally about, but I find it very inspiring now.
Gay
Comforting.
Punk Mermaids.
Gay Punk Mermaids.
You know, what's really interesting about that, and by the way, the show hasn't started yet. We're just waiting for, this is the pre-game show. You don't normally get to see this stuff because we're so tight.
This is the green room.
It's the green room. Yeah, more like the blue room, if you know what I mean. But I have at my home, and I will show you a picture because I have to be in the studio right now in our lair. I have a gay punk mermaid.
Do you now?
It is a objet du art, as they say in art circles. I am going to show it to you because I think it is meant for you. I think you need to own it. It is, it's quite something.
I mean, I have a mermaid tail, so I'm already a gay punk mermaid.
Right.
See. Hey, Sean's and Charlotte's and friends, could you do me a favor and tell me if you hear us? If you don't hear us, don't say a word.
Let us know if you can't hear us.
Yeah, everybody who can't hear me, raise your hands.
Raise your hand.
When in doubt, type it out.
Right. I was going to say, of course, we would follow that request by several seconds of silence.
Right. Exactly.
As we wait for them to speak up.
Charlotte, do you hear a Crystal Frazier and a Steve Henson?
Hey, Charlotte.
Hello. We're very lonely.
Hello to our friends on YouTube. Hello to our friends on Facebook.
What's up?
They can hear. I am so
Seance is successful.
It is.
So they heard about my mermaid tail?
They did.
Strictly for professional reasons.
Hello,
Well, sure.
Rainbow Sky, Gay and Proud, hanging out over on the YouTubes. Scott's here. Hello, Scott. Thank you for that.
I don't think they would have quiet for the next hour.
I just want, here's what I would like everybody to realize. It is, by my count, 1:58.
Amazing.
We are early. That's exciting.
Yeah, right?
I say
shocking.
that, no, I dare not say. I will stop myself mid jib jabbery. But yeah, so wait for folks to line up. Thank you. We'll be launching Mutants Masterminds Monday here very shortly. You get to listen to our little pregame preamble.
Did I ever tell you about the convention where I ended up going to a mermaid bar?
That sounds amazing.
Did you have to dress like a mermaid?
It was well, no, there were people who were dressed as mermaids. Behind the bar was a giant panoramic window that looked into the lower level of a pool where mermaids were swimming behind the bar.
Huh. That's awesome.
And of course, the whole bar was in a very sort of tiki mermaid theme.
Of course.
Yes.
That is amazing.
In Great Falls, Montana, of all places.
Well, there's not a lot of water in Montana.
Not the
right?
place you'd expect to find a mermaid bar. But,
No, but absolutely a place I want to visit now because
right,
of the mermaid.
but there it
Right.
was.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, did they have mermen and mermaids, or
I did not see any gentlemen. I only saw mermaids during my visit, so I'm not sure as far as that goes.
well, that is pretty darn fascinating. And I was going to start Googling, but guess what? It's 2:00, and you know what that means?
Right.
It
Oh my
means-
god! I found the images on the Google.
Did you? Are they
See?
remarkable?
They are remarkable. Oh my god, this is absolutely the place you want to rent out for a lesbian wedding.
Right.
That's amazing. I love that a place exists like that in Montana, of all places. Which kind of needs that sort of kitschy culture kind of stuff. I've been to Montana a couple times.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's pretty. It's very pretty.
It is.
But it's also very Montana. Yes, we have embodied Crystal Frazier and Steve Kenson. I, on the other hand, am remaining disembodied, and I'm Troy. And guess what? Did you know that if you hold up a black light, you can get a vague sort of shape of my body? Which I'm not sure what that means as far as what I'm made of. So I'm maybe more of a mist than I am. Yeah. No, that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me work that out. We'll find another way to do that. Matthew,
Choose to believe that means Troy is one of those aliens from the episode Star Trek Next Generation, where Geordi gets infected with an alien parasite.
Yes.
Am I the alien that's like ugly bag of mostly water?
No, those little tiny
No.
little crystal computer aliens.
Yeah, that's me.
That is you pretty much. Steve Kenson, what alien are you within the Star Trek universe?
I've always wanted to be a Trill, because I think the whole like body swapping immortality thing is pretty sweet.
Plus, you like freckles.
That's
Right.
That's right.
Plus the spots.
That's the one that kind of get into your brain and then they take over the host.
Yeah, they're the little worm parasite. Well, they don't take over.
It's like a backup hard drive.
right.
Yeah. But they're very wise and thoughtful. For sort of.
Except Esri.
Well, right, except Esri.
Pook says
Poor Esri.
Trill for the win. So we should dive in. I mean, there's a lot that we could talk about, and I'm telling you, I'm feeling particularly ADHD today. So buckle up,
Ooh,
everybody.
lucky us.
All right, let's hit it, you ugly bags of mostly water.
Yes, real quickly, I want to say, Raina, hello. I want to say hello to John. Mr. Polajack is here, and I'll tell you, Matthew's has lined up an important question that, do we want to open on a Patreon question?
Sure.
Why not, right? I mean, we've got
It's an
some
important
Patreons.
question. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. And Matthew asks, first says, Guten Tag, and then quickly says, y'all, quick question. So it's sort of like a country German, I suppose. Are there plans? Are there plans to release the M&M Patreon material over on the Green Ronin store at some point?
Not really. I mean,
some of it's meant to be released.
Maybe, but there's not really a plan for it.
For the
Right.
blog, we plan to kind of share it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, the reason we started the Patreon was in order to do sort of small releases of things that we couldn't necessarily make into products.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to sort of allow that to incubate within a community of people who are very passionate about mutants and masterminds, and then roll that over to a community of folks. It is sort of like a united labor of love that we then get to share with the world because of everybody, contribution on the Patreon side of things. That feels good to me.
Yeah, I can't say we never will, but it's not
Right.
something we've really thought about. And if we do, it will be for more than whatever the Patreon support for it cost. So.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we are going to start charging for questions that you ask during Mutants and Masterminds Monday. Matthew, you will get an invoice, $5,000.
Wait, what? But I'm only getting paid like $10.
Oops. Yeah. Mike Adams says retirement home and bar for absolutely. That's what we need. Mike, nice to see you. And I want to shout out to the folks over on YouTube. Make sure you say hello and introduce yourself. At times there's a split between our friends on Facebook and YouTube, and we just want everybody to be one big happy Mutants and Masterminds family. If you will.
Yeah. Although we did find out that us not broadcasting on Twitch is not our fault.
Oh, can you believe it? And Crystal
Who believed
Fraser,
it?
you bless your soul for bringing that up, because I rarely, I usually just sort of, take the heat for all the problems, because by and large they're my fault. But in this one instance, it's not me. It's something, we're working with Restream to figure out why we get no audio over there. But it has nothing to do with the buttons that I'm pushing and in what order. It's something else. And so
It's not us, it's them. They're just not that into us.
right, exactly. They like it to know we're around. They just don't want to hear us. So do we want to, there's some other Patreon stuff to talk about. Dare we sort of venture into that? We got so many things coming up.
First and foremost, Steve wrote up a great "Where Are They Now" for Larceny Inc. So everybody was asking, like, why don't you update the characters for 2021? And at the time, we didn't really have the time to put into the project. But now that we're getting, now that we've crossed the first design threshold and we're releasing like 500-word articles twice a month, along with all the conversions, like one of those articles absolutely can be updating
the conversions.
Yeah.
And
we're very bribable.
And let's this be a lesson for the community at large. If you want to get a thing done, find other people that share your name, like the Shawns have done, and then gang up on us, because you'll get said. I remember Shawns. I remember because I said
bonus points. Yeah, bonus points if your name is Steve, Troy, or Crystal.
That is true. We need more of those. I was just thinking earlier today, I don't know that I've ever met a Steve I didn't like.
Steves are great. Everybody should have one.
Right.
Honestly.
I've met one Steve who was kind of a jerk. But
I have not met that.
Never met another Crystal I liked.
I have never met a Crystal I did not like or appreciate in the right light.
There we go.
Well done.
We can be appreciated in the right light.
In the right light.
Rainbow Sky, gay and proud, owner of one of my favorite usernames over on the YouTubes, asks a question. What are you all reading?
Let me get the stack.
Right.
Do you want to tackle this first, Steve?
Oh gosh, things I am reading. I just finished a short story by Nathan Burgoyne called "Light," which is actually about a queer character with psychic powers who sort of becomes a sort of reluctant superhero when there's an attack on a Pride event. And I won't get into anything beyond that because it gets into spoiler territory, but it was pretty fun. I guess it was more of it was somewhere sort of between a short story and a novella, but a lot of fun. And I'm making my way through, I got the New Warriors classics on Comixology, and I've been working my way through those and reliving all of my 90s comics, heyday experiences. I love the New Warriors back in the day.
God, what have I been reading? So I've gotten Marvel Unlimited, and I've gone back and started reading Kurt Busiek's Avengers run from the late 90s, which I'd never really gotten to read. Avengers was never really my book back then, so
Mhm.
it's really interesting, like, to see what elements of the 90s they are steadfastly turning away from and what elements from the 90s they're still embracing.
Yeah.
Interesting. What
And-
is the what's the storyline in that phase, or what that sort of?
Like, one of the big elements in the background is Ms. Marvel is losing her powers and turning to alcoholism, and not gonna lie, it's the worst written part of the series.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like ham-handed,
there's-
kind of, or
Yeah, kind of ham-handed, very straw feminist.
Mhm.
yeah.
But like, there's a lot going on with Wanda and Vision's relationship after Vision's just been brought back from the dead, which is why I started
Right.
reading this.
Mhm.
And that's all handled really well. There's some fun. There was a fun crossover with Squadron Supreme.
Yep.
The line kicks off with a Morgan Le Fay event, and I'm always here for Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah, I collected all the comics, but the Avengers didn't quite register for me. They always felt a little bit. I'm more New Mutants, Power Pack.
Mhm.
I really did collect Power Pack, but
Yeah.
also ROM Space Knight. That was always
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was an intense sort of. Anything else on your library list?
Oh God, yes. ADHD, so I've got 5 books in
Right.
process right now. I've started reading A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem, which is a bodice ripper set in Victorian London about a newspaper heiress and a police detective falling in love and having wild sex while on the trail of a serial killer.
What's there not to love?
As you
Right?
do.
I've also finally gotten a hold of a copy of Sonnets from the Portuguese, and I am suddenly blanking on the poet's name, but
Mhm.
it's like the last of her books I have not read, so I've been working my way through that.
Nice.
You
I
know,
just started Great Lakes Water Wars, which is a history of water use rights in Middle America,
okay,
Mhm.
it's not like
Midwest.
the precursor to the movie Water Wars, right?
No, that's
No.
Water World.
Water World. where there is
No,
a
it's all
water
about
world.
water rights, and it's really exciting.
Honestly,
As you would expect.
I
Yeah.
nerd out about that kind of stuff, especially when you think about just infrastructure in general.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you what, I know what Alex Thomas is reading.
Mhm.
Me.
What's that?
Totally just read me. I've never met a
Uh-oh.
Troy who wasn't a master of the backhanded compliment.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Wait, those were backhanded?
It is to say I tease because I love.
Mhm.
Oh, you must love me a lot.
I do. I really do. Let's see here. Raina Bauer says New Warriors is brilliant. Rainbow. Can I call you RSGAP? That doesn't make it easier to say. Says
It doesn't.
Nathan is an amazing writer. Gavin Smith says, was this presumably about the Avengers era? Was this the run with Triathlon?
Yes.
Is that a
Later
villain?
on. Nope.
Oh, I thought that would have irritating villain. What are you doing?
I haven't
bicycling,
gotten
I'm
there yet.
swimming.
Oh yeah. Later on in the run.
I actually have a C-list villain from my home campaign called the Decathlete.
Nice.
That is, what is a decathlete?
You complete the decathlon.
Yeah, basically a track and field guy.
Yeah.
But
So
what is
he's
it?
got like trick discus and trick javelins, and he can jump real
Mhm.
high.
I
Pole vault.
see.
Mhm.
So is that like 5 things? What is like? Is
Deca
that
means
10
10.
things? Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Oof, I'm
It's
tired
like
of that.
5 kinds of races plus discus and javelin and
Mm-hmm.
pole vault,
Pole
and
vaulting
high jump,
and
and
yeah.
long jump.
I'm not even
I'd
an
have to look it up.
Yeah.
unathlete.
Long jump too, I think.
I don't go to an unathlon. Let's see here. Sean Vieira says, love Squadron Supreme, the 1980s maxi
Oh,
series.
I'm
Very
such a sucker for a Squadron Supreme story. It's not even funny.
Oh, I've been reading Shadow Man from Valiant.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh, those are really good, and I'm catching up on the 2012 series. I'm looking forward to the
Mhm.
2019 series. series.
Yeah.
Gavin Smith says absolutely loved Rom, and I think this Rom Space Knight storyline and kind of what happened with Bruce Banner's sidekick and some of that darker stuff. It kind of infected my brain as a young child reading that stuff. Let's see here. Matthew asks a question and insistently, which I do appreciate. Even though they're probably late to the party, are there plans to do a "Where Are They Now" article for the Scions?
Yeah, we could potentially do that.
Yeah. I mean, we actually added the "Where Are They Now" to the PDFs you're getting at the $8 level. So I don't know that we'll go back and update the Scion PDFs, but we can certainly do the article if there's a lot of interest in it.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Matthew. Let's see. Rainbow Sky says, and I have some books that I want to recommend to you, Steve. And the first one is Boys Like Us, Gay Writers Tell Their Coming Out Stories by Patrick Merla. I want to read that too. That sounds great. Cool. Apuk says, so he is a sports master homage. Is sports master...
Yeah, like a very specific sports master.
Sports master just sounds boring.
Like a very jock sort of C-list guy you're happy to punch.
Right, yeah, that kind of has that smell of like when you go into one of those sporting goods stores. Do they still have
he's
those
like
anymore?
if Axe body spray was a
it was a super villain. Right?
Yeah, it's like if Axe body spray also threw exploding javelins.
You're right.
Wait a minute. Doesn't X body spray do that?
Isn't it? Yeah, kind of an yeah. Let's see. There was something else here that I wanted to. There's a Oh, great. I just want to make sure. Okay, good. Just to be clear, this is one Sean that says second for Where They Are Now for the Scions. It was Sean and a Matthew.
Oh,
Sean's
okay. So we have two. We have unanimity among Sean's about this.
We do not yet.
The Sean Live Mind. Oh.
Yeah. No, we need consensus among the Seans. In order for this to
the Sean plurality will need to speak up.
Yeah.
It has to move out of committee and then be considered.
Yeah, it's right now absorbing this information like a slug absorbs whatever slugs absorb.
Oh, right. I'm also reading the Aliens role-playing game. My wife got that for me.
Oh, like Aliens?
Yeah.
Like
are
you?
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is very excited about xenomorphs.
Yeah, I mean, I just heard in Corgi, get away from her, you bitch. Let's see. David Body, I want to say thank you for at least touching base. David got to work, and so can't listen. But as I say every stream, if you don't got a David Body, you got no body. And I'm going to keep telling that joke until I die. Scott Alford says a C-list, eh? So less of a sports master and more of a sports dabbler.
Yeah, it's like if Paste Pot Pete jogged more.
Right.
Speedwalker. A speedwalker, yes. Jordan Taylor asks, hey, I noticed that the gadget guide is out of print. Why is that? Are we getting a new one?
I don't think it's sold fast enough to justify a reprint.
Justify reprinting it. Pretty much.
Is it not available via the PDF?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I just got a copy of it a couple of weeks ago for reference.
The
PDF, not the print version.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, even today, we are still dealing with the trauma that the print industry in general has.
Oh, yeah.
There's still, I mean, even today, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, we found about, can't trade industry secrets, but it's still rough getting print.
Yeah, it's still definitely a process of choosing very carefully what it is we want to print, how much we want to print, and when we can expect to see it. Because sometimes it's, you order the print books and, it'll be when they're done.
That's right, yeah. And then you get the proof, and you got to put a little pin in the Patreon thing. We've got stuff coming. A live stream, we've got some discussions, we've got some expanding content, some opportunities for people who may be feeling a little left out to be left in. And so, buckle up. There's some good stuff coming. But, we're talking about variable power, and I have learned it on the fly because I'm a neophyte. I have to depend on my heroes, Crystal and Steve, to sort of describe what all of this stuff is, and people are really into this.
Wait.
Yeah.
I should have opened my book to the correct page before we got started.
Variable is kind of, in my opinion, sort of one of the last ditch design options you have for Mutants and Masterminds in terms of some complex character concepts. You can do a lot in Mutants and Masterminds with arrays and alternate effects in terms of characters who have a lot of options. And especially when you tack power stunts onto that, you have a range of options. But
not to mention the variable descriptor
Crystal,
extra.
You are so funny because I literally was like, well, yeah, and then there's also the variable descriptor modifier, which allows you to change the descriptor or type for the power, like fire to ice or slashing to bludgeoning. I was going to pretend like I knew a thing, but that's literally what Apu typed to me in a chat. I was going to try to play it off like I knew a thing.
But variable, for those of you who don't know, variable is one of the really underused powers because it is so loosey-goosey and ill-defined. It's 7 points per rank, and at that price you get 5 points for rank to give yourself any power within a certain description. So, like, the examples we were giving Troy earlier are like, shape-shifting into animals would be a variable power.
Right.
So, you spend your 70 points to get 10 ranks of it, and then you get 50 points that you can change up as an action on your round.
Yep.
What is it?
And the defining that narrow category is pretty important part of the variable effect.
Yeah. So it could be having just the right arrow in your quiver of trick arrows. It can be shapeshifting into animals. People really like stacking limitations on top of variable to get that price down, but I mean, honestly, as a GM, you should not be giving people variable for less than 6 points per rank.
All right, let's unpack that piece of this for the dum-dums, or the dum-dum, which is me. But what is that give and take or that push-pull between layering on?
Variable's just very powerful because it gives you any power you want. Basically as a standard action. You might, you can make it a slow array or slow to change out, where you can only change your powers between scenes, or as a full round action, kind of representing inventing something new or changing out your arsenal.
I mean, the big problem with variable in play is that it's the potential solution to everything. Power. It's the I need to be able to do X. Well, I can do anything, so I do that, and that's the key kind of limitation you need to have with a variable effect is some sense of what its limits are, so that the GM can plan around that. If you know that somebody's variable power is that they can duplicate other people's powers, well, you know who the other characters in the adventure are with powers. And you can at least track that to a certain degree, or if they can turn into animals, you can at least have a sense of, well, they're probably not going to get telepathy out of it, that sort of a thing.
So Alex Thomas, our dear friend, and Veronica Klinger, who I'm not sure if I've met, but a dear friend nonetheless. Alex says variable is one of the few powers I usually ban at my table unless I know the player is well versed in character creation, because the map can really slow things down. And Veronica says, when I first started playing M&M, I missed the mandatory categorization, so I always avoided it because it seemed too open-ended.
That's fair. And a lot of people do feel like they should just be able to do anything with it. But Alex brings up a great point we were going to get to is the other big problem with variable is that it tends to be very math focused and just grinds play to a halt unless you know what you're going for really quickly. So if you just know that you want your variable power, I need to throw out a ranged burst area damage. That's rank 10, 30 points. So unless you can just kind of crank through the math on your own pretty quickly, it can slow things down a lot. What I had a player do this for animal shapeshifting, kind of like Beast Boy, and what I made him do is sit down and work out, like, here are 5 basic animals that you shapeshift into the most. So these are the ones you go to, and if you want to turn into anything else, make it a variation on these, or, figure out the math when it's not your turn.
I like it. I'm going to get a little sound effect that's like, and that's a tip. Just something that we can play, just so that people can, that's brilliant. I mean, it also just, it fits with the whole, session 0 stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you can absolutely think of variable as essentially an array that you can add to on the fly. So you can plan out a whole list of powers that the character normally uses their variable effect for. And if they want to come up with a new one, it's just that they can add those things without spending power points to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, really, at that point, why not just have an array of 5 things and the variable descriptor extra?
Yep.
So I think I've seen shapeshifting done much better, where basically instead of, these are stats for a monkey, this is stats for a mouse, this is stats for a cheetah, this is stats for an elephant. I've seen, like, this is sneaky form, this is flying form, this is battle form, and each one has variable descriptor. So your battle form could be a gorilla or an elephant or a T-Rex.
Exactly.
I will tell you that Apuk shares a thought, and he has invested all of his points in screaming it out loud. And he says,
1 point feature.
Screamingly, when I do let people use variable, I'm not screaming. I ask them to have a list of things they might commonly use ready to go. Yeah, absolutely. Apuk, I know.
Yeah.
He just had his caps lock on, but I like to
Yeah, I mean, and Crystal's point is well taken, that exactly what I mean when I say that variable is the last ditch. Like, it's the thing you use when you can't model anything any other way. And you get to that list, that option last. If you can do it some other way, you're probably better off.
Alex Thomas says, Crystal just described my process perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I think that what we're talking about are some advanced GM sort of shortcuts that allow for the variety.
Well, I mean, as GM, your power is effectively variable all the time.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
There is absolutely nothing nothing the players can do to stop you from giving your villain a telekinesis ray gun on 0 notice, or copying their advantages so they can use the same combat strategy, or anything else you want to do.
Yes, this is time for mentioning the great secret of Mutants and Masterminds game mastering once again. Your characters don't have to be built on any points.
And that's a tip.
You have as many points as you want.
Yeah, honestly, the great thing about being the GM is your characters don't need any power except the name and rank, and a general sense of what it does.
Do you like that? The double tip, like when we do like one after the other. I'm gonna work triple tip. Yeah, this is good.
No,
stuff.
we're not calling it that.
We're definitely not calling
That's going to
it
get
that.
us on a bunch of lists.
It is, yeah. Well,
We don't want that search optimization.
We may already be there, frankly. But there was something that I saw that I wanted to say, and then I lost it because I'm so hilarious. I know what I was going to ask. So for me personally, and it's a thing that I have struggled with my entire life, and no, it's not charm. It is this tipping riot. See, Alex, you feel me. You know what I'm talking about. But it's that, there are times when I can just I'm a mathematologist like you wouldn't believe. And then there are times when I'm sitting at a table with my friends and I'm like, oh my God, I number how to make sum. I don't know what I'm doing. As a GM, especially when you're talking about something like, the variable power, it does introduce a complexity that maybe somebody who, like say me, who before we sat down and kind of had it all figured out and then suddenly blanks when I'm actually required to use any sort of math in a way that helps. Like, how do you tip someone? I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you maneuver through that process? Just kind of given the diverse nature of players.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
Crystal, go ahead.
I mean, for new players especially, I would just try and steer them away from variable entirely. It's really one where you have to be able to either come to the game prepared or do a lot of math in your head on the fly.
Yes.
I like that.
The other thing you can do with variable as a GM is focus on variable powers that the GM controls.
Oh, yes.
And the player doesn't have to worry about it. If the
Like
player's right, if the hero's power is they have a wish granting genie, and that's their variable power, but the game master gets to decide how the wish gets interpreted, then the player doesn't have to worry about what the power does. It's the GM who gets to decide what the mechanics are.
Do you remember there's an X-Men villain called Gideon in the 90s whose power was whatever power he needed to beat you?
Yes, he had Nemesis. Yep.
So there's a variable power that the GM controls.
Yep, that's another great example.
Brilliant.
And
I love it.
I want to say he fought the Hulk once, and the power it gave him was teleport, so that he could
get the hell out of there.
Get out of the way. I like it. Let's see. Nate Robbins says, "Oh dear, walked in at the wrong time." No, right time. Exactly.
No, we're talking about X-Men villains from the 90s.
Right? What better time is there to arrive?
Yeah, really, honestly. I least favorite villain of all time, any genre, any DC, Marvel, you name it.
Oh gosh.
I mean, again, Bloodscream.
Right. Taserface.
So many.
What did you say?
Taserface from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that's
literal character from the comic.
Yep. Snowflame. He was a DC villain whose fire powers were fueled by cocaine. Cocaine is his god.
Seriously?
Yes. Again, it was the 80s, man. Like
I was gonna say that is pure 80s. That is just like, what is the power? Talking fast and doing little.
Yep.
Longshot had luck. Yeah, Longshot had luck power. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of terrible villains. I mean, that's
Longshot wasn't a villain.
Well, I think that we're just talking about powers in general. Nate is late, and so calibrating. Flag.
Crazy luck, by the way, is another great variable power that the GM can control.
Crazy luck, just like unfettered luck.
Just making unlikely things happen.
Right. Like it.
Like a Black Cat.
That
kind of. Yeah. That always seems sort of like mild luck.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is. I mean, a lot of the best uses for variable are very low level, like 2 or 3 ranks, like just enough to give you like a couple of advantages or an immunity or something like that fires off really quick.
Yeah. Veronica adds, that also makes me think of Resurrection Man, whose power was whenever he died, he came back to life with a different power. Yeah, cool power, but what a lame name.
Do you remember Shiva from the Wolverine comics? And a robot made out of adamantium, and every time he came back, he was immune to whatever destroyed him the last time.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a Marvel villain that I didn't care for. Check me on this, chat, but I do believe that DC had a ballpoint pen man.
Probably.
Wouldn't be surprised. I mean, over the last 80, 90 years, I'm sure they've done something like that.
Sure, right. Yeah.
I mean, they had the calculator. So
there are a bunch of villains from Legion of Superheroes that I didn't like, but I don't remember any of their names.
Right.
But yeah, do we want to, like, we spent all this time trying to dissuade people from taking variable. Do we want to talk about good uses for the variable power?
Yeah.
Because you recently statted up a character for me that we can't mention by name because it's a big spoiler, but you gave him variable 2, I want to say, to represent that he's always got the right gadget for whatever
Yes,
situation.
because that character's one of his things was he's basically always prepared. And that's a great example of basically using variable as sort of a built-in scene editing ability. You know, if you want a character who is a master planner, whose thing is, I have always got the right thing for this situation, then again, with the right parameters, variable is great for that. If those things are limited to, like, I have the right gadgets in my utility belt, you know, kind of thing, not I can manifest the right power to fix this situation, whatever it is.
Yeah, and we talked about Darwin and his ability to be selectively immune to whatever might kill him. And that is like a great, like, rank 2 variable ability.
A sort of natural selection, if you will.
Indeed.
You know, Darwin. Get it?
No, it's very much unnatural selection.
Like a bag of tricks. Absolutely, Veronica. Scott says master planner, like our hero, President Luthor, a true man of the people. I like the propaganda. I was going to also add, who is Flag? Flag took drugs, is what Nate Robbins said. But is that a villain from DC?
It depends on.
Help me, Nate.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to narrow it down for me a little more. A lot of characters are called Flag.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
Major? No.
Interesting trope, nonetheless. But yeah,
Yep.
what are some?
I mean, you know, another example with variable is it's really the only decent way to do mimic characters, you know, who can duplicate other powers, because the range of options there is just too big for an array. As far as that goes, even with variable effect, it's kind of problematic. So it's just easier to say you have X amount of points of number of powers you can imitate from other people, and there you go.
Yep, and then you've got the pre-made power packages from your GM or your other players. Although in my experience, other players get a little annoyed if you're always taking their powers.
Yeah, because it's stealing their shtick in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You're kind of stepping on their narrative role.
So how with this particular power, how should folks, both GM and player, sort of change their vantage point or their perspective on how they integrate it or utilize it so that it becomes more useful and less a pain in the ass at the table?
I mean, we were just talking about that earlier. Come to game prepared with like a couple of easy, quick builds for whatever your power does, and you know, if it's only 1 or 2 ranks of variable, know the rules well enough that you can kind of ad lib what 10 points can get you.
Yeah, and just make sure that you have worked out exactly what the parameters of the power are, so that everybody knows kind of what the boundaries of the sandbox you're playing in are.
Yeah, I remember an episode of Teen Titans where Beast Boy shapeshifts into an alien animal for the first time.
Right. I didn't know you could do that.
I love that character, by the way. One of my favorites. Scott Alfred says, I had been thinking of making a mimic character without variable. I had literally no idea how to do it.
I mean,
it's hard.
Yeah.
Really, it is.
It depends on what you're mimicking. Like if you're just mimicking somebody's body, like a variable array, or sorry, an array of like enhanced stats with dynamic on it is one way, but honestly, variable in that case is just easier.
Speaking of really is.
Speaking of body, David Body says the Young Justice fight with Ivo's android was a good example of variable power as a mimic.
Yep, Amazo, classic mimic character.
Yeah. Although we did for Talos, we actually just gave him all of the power ranks from the entire Freedom League.
Yeah, we ended up basically saying that Talos's mimic power was broken, and he only got to use it once.
Locked in on, to be fair, the most powerful heroes in the setting.
True. And admittedly, no one's tried turning him off and turning him back on again to see if that would fix it.
Yeah, he won't really let you.
No.
You know what?
Ironic.
I'm going to describe something to you, and I want you to tell me where you may have met a a character like this. A variable for a character who is actually multiple entities in a single body, or maybe consciousness, if you will. Maybe a character with dissociative identity disorder, where each personality has a different power set, and like.
I mean, we've seen those in comics, like
Sure.
Legion.
I think we've
seen. I don't think it's the best endorsement of DID.
I think that is.
But I mean, honestly, for doing characters like that, you're actually better off with an array, because presumably the character has a limited set of personas who have powers.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Dial H for Hero Kid, whose name I can't remember.
That's true.
Zamrod.
That's basically a new hero each time.
I hear you, Zamrod, on the singular channel thing, and we'll look into that. But apologies. But I bring that up because we have faced that particular being, the multifaceted personality that I believe is called the Chat.
Indeed.
Now that's from Veronica. I just want to give credit where credit is due.
Sure it is.
And Veronica, I knew that you and I were going to be tight.
Fast friends.
Yeah, we are fast
Yes,
friends.
you're clearly
Troy loves his
vibing on
enablers.
Troy's.
Yeah.
Yes.
I surround myself with people who just enable my bad behavior. Liz Court says, I just finally picked up the M&M handbook, and I'm excited to start reading and getting inspired for art. Nice. There's some great art.
Great.
I'm excited. I've played with Liz before. I know how good her characters are.
And we've had a couple samples of art, and I'm not suggesting, Liz, that you art for us on command. I know that is so rude, but do it. No, let's see.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know it's horrible. It's really the worst. I am a boorish person who really wants art. Let's see here. When you run into trouble with this particular power in the midst of it, let's say you've done all your work and you've tried to figure it all out, how do you handle it at the table? Like when it's just gone south, like things are just not stacking up or adding up, or it's Troy and he's forgotten the math, and people are just like, oh, you've stolen my powers for the last time. I mean, like all that frustration. How does a GM sort of empower everyone and sort of get everyone to sort of ascend beyond the conflict and get back into playing?
Whether it's variable power or not, spending a hero point to edit the scene is always a great way to like jump out of some kind of roadblock.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to two potential sort of problems. One is if variable is completely derailed your adventure, like, oh, I literally was not expecting that sort of a thing, then it may be either time to improvise wildly, or, honestly just say, hey, I didn't see that coming, so that's, where we are as far as that goes. If it's more of a matter of variables just bogging the game down, sometimes it's fine to just say, okay, we're just going to do it this way for now and skip the math. Yeah. And just say, that sounds like rank 8 to me, roll the die. Let's just get this show on the road. And sometimes it's easier to just do that rather than try and, argue about, whether this is going to be 32 points or 36 points.
Here's an interesting question. David, I'm gonna get back to that. I'm gonna read some of this other stuff, but you bring up something that I think is a fun thing that we can do. But let's see. So Alex Thomas asks on behalf of, the chat, do we all have the same powers, or do we have our own specialties as our rolling Legion style soul mass?
Right.
You're kind of uploaded to the internet, if I recall.
True. And that actually does raise one notion about variable effects, is that they can also include more than just powers. You can do a variable effect, for example, that's designed around skills. Speaking of, the earlier thing we were talking about, Taskmaster is a guy who has, can copy other people's skills. Prodigy is another character who can copy anything anyone else knows.
That's probably variable tied to some mind reading, but yeah,
I would
limited
think.
to skills and advantages.
Right.
I just imagine Taskmaster just kind of running around with sort of a running list of things that you haven't gotten done yet. And so they're just sort of harassing you with trouble tickets and things and priorities. Right. And yeah. David Body says, many, many years ago, I had a champions character called Overmaster that had a list of adjustable stats, like Crystal mentioned. So he could be super strong or super dexterous or could run really fast. I'd like to convert him into an M&M character, M&M 3rd edition. I just might do that now that we've mentioned it here. What, as someone who's new and sort of dumb, that's me, what is that transition like, especially when you look at something, a system like Champions and then Mutants and Masterminds? Is it a rough conversion or is it pretty easy?
I mean, there's no like multiply your gosh, I don't even remember the champion's attributes, but it's not like multiply your strength by X and subtract 2 and that's your equivalent strength in M&M.
Right.
You just kind of have to gauge like how much can my character lift versus, how fast is my character.
Yeah, a lot of it is a ballpark conversion as far as that goes, but I mean, Mutants and Masterminds definitely has some champions inspired elements to it. So, I mean, they're not so far apart that it would be terribly difficult.
Interesting.
Thank you for not bringing over endurance points.
You're welcome. I was hated endurance.
Alex Thomas brings up an ancient GM trick, or as we like to call it, a hot tip. No, that's not going to work either. I need to go to the bathroom. Be right back. Which is how the GM sort of like that whole drop a smoke bomb and vanish.
Yep.
Let's see. Veronica says variable advantages for a martial arts character who can match the style of any opponent. I like it. Yeah. Let's see. I think you're going to just have to build it straight in Mutants and Masterminds 3E using champions as the benchmark. Yes. Yeah, David. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's a pretty good guideline as far as that goes.
I dig it. Whoa, it's 2:48.
Yeah.
Time
flies when we're having this kind of fun. So
do we need to get back to Patreon things?
Yeah, I feel like
we should.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of left some stuff. As we sort of talk a bit about some Patreon-age stuff, we also want to talk maybe about some BTT. But Scott says, could you use the variable power to create a character who gives powers to other people, a support-like character?
Yes.
Absolutely. That's a great way to... that's a great way to do it. There was a Static Shock character, and I can't remember his name, but he was a villain whose whole power was to temporarily give other people powers.
Right.
And it was kind of sold as like a drug reference.
That's the only power that I have is I shuffle my feet on a carpet and then I zap people. It's just really more an irritant, actually, than it is actually a power. But great stuff. Jonesy drops the Patreon link, which is patreon.com/mutants and masterminds. And we've got some stuff lined up for Patreon, but why don't we elaborate a bit on maybe what we've got in the pipeline?
Yeah. Well, this week we're releasing the next member of Larceny Inc. This is Grab, our stretchy, sort of a con woman, sort of a general purpose troublemaker.
Who grabs stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, who grabs stuff. She's a master of the grappling arts. She is stretchy and hard to injure. She's like, I want to say PL 6 offensively, but like a PL 11 defensively.
Yeah.
Just because she's so hard to injure.
She's a very persistent annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I was going to say, but of course, very dangerous when coupled with her teammates, when she grabs you and leaves you vulnerable for one of them to knock you for a loop.
Ooh, like a rope-a-dope move. kind of grab you and get you in close, so that maybe the other villains can give you the business.
One of the definite artifacts of the D20 system in Mutants and Masterminds is just how easily grappling can shut down anybody.
It's so true.
Interesting, very interesting. I'm curious if some of our folks in chat have had that same experience with that particular power.
I remember Owen K.C. Stevens, the nicest man in gaming, made a stretchy luchador for one of my games.
I love that.
Basically could just pick one villain and shut them down for the fight with grapple checks.
Yeah, I like that. Do you remember the name?
Is it Macho Grande?
I hope so.
Right.
Oh, and if you're in the chat, help us out here. Otherwise, Troy's going to bug you about this on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to start right after and continue to bother you. And then I'll want some other names, too, so I can create a whole luchador team. Alex Thomas or Crystal can just one-shot your demon and bypass the whole encounter. I feel like that might be a reference to something.
I might have one-shot a character in Alex's recent Nether War campaign.
I don't think they understand. Like, you carry that Crystal Frazier power with you wherever you go. It's just a thing that comes along.
Yeah,
have the power to derail any campaign.
All I gotta say is, Alex, sucker. Let's see.
My wife is over here giving me crap because she says it's charming when I do it, but when she does it, it's disruptive.
Right.
And she's right.
Yes,
that's right.
Exactly.
Because you
It is charming when
the situation.
You use a hero point to rewrite that particular.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, how many times as a game master have you had to, do, I will literally give you a hero point if you don't do that. Like, please don't do that.
I love it. I'm going to presume that this person is, I know it's a Ronin, but Green Ronin Publishing says, I'll never get over Macho Grande. Yeah, get over or around or, under or any of that.
No one gets over Macho Grande. That's the whole point.
I love it. David Body says, I used to have a Latino stretchy guy named Ray Deuce and his sidekicks, Diameter and Circumference. I get it. These are the kinds of jokes that I demand. More of that.
No
more of that.
They're like, denied. Request denied. Matthew Tyler asks, could the variable power be used to further augment the existing powers of other characters as well? Yeah.
It can, but you're going to need to talk to your GM because that'll usually get around power level limits.
Right. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You've really got to talk to your GM about if they're okay with that and establish early on, like, how much more can I boost people's powers? Like, can I just go as high as I want? Is it limited to like a +1 or a +2 increase? Because, I mean, at that point, you're kind of just doing on your turn and aid another check or a combined attack. So I could see as GM justifying a +2 power level increase.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you're not using any attack powers or attack actions on your turn to maintain this.
Yep.
But it's going to be highly situational.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Stan Brown says, the pun posse strikes again, and I add that because that is sort of the power of the chat.
If the pun posse isn't made up of possums, then go home.
Right. You're just not even trying at that point.
But I will say that I am actually craving in a crazy way nachos right now. Possum nachos. They're
Possum nachos.
They're possum. Awesome with an apostrophe. I think that I am literally like just like operating on fumes right now, and so my synapses are just like slowly
firing randomly at this point.
Just randomly, exactly.
I think that's been all of us for I don't even know how long.
Right? How is it March again?
Yeah.
Or still? Is it still?
Is it still or again?
Is it still March? I think, think we.
It's like Groundhog Day, but March.
Yeah.
Except March.
Except it hogged the whole year. Yeah. Liz Court says, ooh, I could get green chili nachos. Oh, that's a good call. I'm hungry. Veronica also says another alternative.
We've definitely gone off the rails.
We really have, and it's my fault. I take full responsibility. Blame me.
I just had chicken nuggets, so I'm good.
Oh, that sounds good too. Did you make them, or did you buy them? Were they a thing that you put, like, say,
No, they were from the freezer section of the store.
Not
they
from,
weren't
like,
even real chicken. They were the fake meat.
Ooh, I've been doing the fake meat thing too, but with meatballs, and I'm really enjoying it. Veronica says another alternative to variable. And by the way, Veronica, you have kept us on task. You and a couple others. I have to say, unto you, you get the Taskmaster of the Day award.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some of them are in our chat.
And some of them just can't keep
So what did Veronica say, Clark?
Thank you. Yes. Another alternative to variable, especially for minor things, I've always liked to use is feature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Feature's great for, there have been a ton of things where people will be like, how do I do this whole complex set of formulas with all of the power effects in order to create this thing that's super minor.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, just charge them a point for it, call it a feature, and say that's what it does.
Yeah, it's like I want environment so that I can create light, but really limited and basically
and maybe
just
in a cone.
Yeah. So I'm going to change it to cone effect instead of burst area and just make it a feature.
Right. Just pay a point. It's a flashlight. You're done. Yeah, feature is great for a lot of really minor effects that are just useful, but not super powerful.
Yeah, I want backup singers. So is that buying some minions?
Do I have to summon them? And no.
Stan Brown says, impossible pun posse. Thank you for, thank you for that one. Scott Alford says, we need a sidekick of the Freedom League called Awesome Possum, who is a telepathic possum in spandex.
Well, I mean, if it's Awesome Possum, that has probably got growth powers.
Right.
And he's probably from the Toon Freedom League from the animal universe.
That would make sense.
Nicely done, by the way. I love that. I love when we try to throw a wrench of hilarity and we turn in something that's real.
We have to go back to Earth Ape, though, because I've got a whole bunch of ape puns that I can't use anywhere else.
Right.
For great villains, like the Mandrill.
Mm-hmm. That is the Ocho. I like it. Also, for some reason, reminding me of nachos. Jonesy says, Did you not eat Troy Hewitt? No, I did not.
Nobody has eaten Troy Hewitt. That's why he's still here.
That is, well, no, actually, I am disembodied. So,
right.
Couple good bites. Veronica says, I am the Taskmaster. Spoiler, yeah. I mean, here we are towards the end of the show, mere minutes, and we learn that the Taskmaster has been with us the whole time. The whole time.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah, Nicholas Morrow says, dag nabbit, I'm late again. I do think that we'll allow you to use the hero point and rewrite the scene, but really what that means is on demand. It'll be ready.
Catch us next Monday.
Yeah, just you can watch it from the beginning and then interact. It'll be like you were here. Matthew Tyler says, ever thought about doing tie-in comics for the Earth Prime setting?
Oh, God, have we?
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, we've thought about it a lot, but it mostly
all the time.
Right. It mostly comes down to, wow, comics are expensive to do.
That's right. Yeah.
Comics, RPGs are the industry that makes even less money than comics.
Right.
Yes. Veronica says, from now on. Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again, Crystal.
Oh, WotC notwithstanding.
Yes.
Fair enough. Veronica says, from now on, all my characters will have backup singers. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1 point feature.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want a spotlight too, that's another level of feature.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's see.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to play Chanticleer from Rockadoodle.
I don't know what that is, but it reminds me of an eclair, which sounds delicious. Jonesy asks, nice try, Jonesy. You think we're off topic. We are, but any other Patreon news? there are some things. Let me double down. Let me knuckle up on this, and I'll say this. There are a lot of things.
We're out of time.
You heard it here first, folks. It's 3 p.m. Gotta go. Better get over to that Patreon and throw some money into the money hole. What a salesperson I am.
Yeah.
Troy, continue.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me. I will say this. We've got an amazing team. I call them the VTT team, of which I am a part. And there's some VTT aspects that I think the Patreon could take an early look at and help sort of guide and sort of share some thoughts, maybe
That'd be
test
nice.
some stuff.
Yes.
That's one. We've got a live stream that we're planning, and I think we've decided that we're going to just for the Patreon. It'll be everybody gets to join and be a part of that. I love it.
But I think the plan over there was we were going to talk about our Mutants and Masterminds characters.
Yes. How do you like them
Exciting
apples?
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Listcourt says you still got to pay the artists and authors for webcomics. That's true.
Yes, you do.
That's true. Let's see. Alex Thomas says, I listen to Rockadoodle at least once a week. Okay. That is telling. Stan Brown says, the money hole. Is that like the adventure pit? Well, sort of. The money hole and the adventure hole are kind of similar, only one is filled with money.
Right. And the other is filled with adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonesy, I'm not sure if you're giving me a high five or you're telling me to stop or you're waving at me.
Might be raising his hand.
That is true. You might be raising your hand, but I'm sorry. At 3:02, we will be accepting no questions. No new questions. But hey, folks, we have a blast, and we love having these conversations with you. But we also know you're here because you love Mutants and Masterminds, and you want to be a part of that. And if there's a way or there are things that we can do to facilitate that to a greater effect, and all you have to do is send us a note, let's play at greenronin.com, and give us some suggestions. And if you're a part of the Patreon and you've got some thoughts as to how to make that, how to juice that up for you, we're all ears, because quite frankly, it is all about you in that case, and only in that case. Everything else is, your mileage may vary. But give us some thoughts and give us some ideas, and know that we're here to do that and to work with you and to have fun there. It's not meant to be a purely transactional space. It's meant to be a creative space where we work together to make it useful and fun and valuable for you.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing with the Patreon is, one, we can do little tiny projects that we couldn't otherwise justify, and two, because we're putting it out weekly or semi-weekly, we can respond to what people want to do with it. So if you don't like the direction it's going in, we can stop and reorganize things.
You know, the other thing,
ongoing service.
The other thing too is you get to people in the Patreon get to see just how much. I mean, Crystal and Steve are fans of Mutants and Masterminds. They're in it with you.
True.
They're 100% here, and that exchange back and forth, the dialogue is part of what makes the creative process fun and useful and healthy. But if you're holding on to some resentment, let's talk. Let's talk it out. Let's work it out. Let's be heroes to each other, right? With that, I hear the music is playing. It means it's time for us to go. Thank you all for watching and listening, and you're welcome for the stream. Our friends over on the YouTubes and also on Facebook, Nicholas, goodbye to you, and we will see you next Monday. But do stop by this same time in these same channels, actually, to Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific. It's Thursday with Owen Casey Stevens and me, your disembodied voice. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much, and we will. You're welcome. David, I was like, thanks for wrapping it up. You're certainly welcome. Goodbye.